And this broadcast brought to you by 106th Street Tire and Wheel. Get your automotive stuff done at 106th Street Tire and Wheel, located in Corona, New York, 11386. We are officially back live at True to New York Sports Studio with Billy Punch, Brian, and myself, Lou DiMartino. Brian, it looks like you're trying to talk and nothing is being said. What is going on, fellas? Long time no see.
Guys, it's been a long time. We got a lot going on. We lost Brian for a second. I'm sure he'll be back with us momentarily here. But, Lou, the baseball offseason is in full swing, my man.
It sure is, buddy. And I'm excited. And let's be honest, out of all the teams in New York so far, only one team, in my opinion, has, on paper, gotten probably a little bit better.
I mean, that is the topic of the night. I mean, they have definitely made good moves that needed to be made, moves I like, and I applaud Steve Cohen, Billy Epler, and the Mets front office for doing these things, but I am looking forward to debating if this has actually made the Mets a better team than the team that season ended last in October.
Right.
I mean, listen, both teams, I think, did what they had to do. I mean, the Yankees, their thing, what they had to do was they had to re-sign Judge. And they did. They got it done. It took a while. They're paying him $40 million. He made $150 million off of not signing last year. And that's huge for him. But for the Yankees as a whole team, how much better have they gotten? Have they gotten any better?
The Yankees have not done anything yet.
Well, here's the thing, though. That being said, they also were the number 2 seed last year. Now, how much of that was based off of the hot start or whatever, you can say for the last, 5 months of the season, they were a slightly above average baseball team, after the ridiculously hot start that they got off to. Now, all they need to be is better than the Astros in a 7-game series. That's all they need to be, and that's one of the things that is so weird about, how do you plan for just one series? I mean, they're better than every other team in the AL, except maybe the Houston Astros. And how do you plan your whole roster, your whole everything off of one 7-game series?
See, I get that, but I've been hearing this a lot lately. They're as good as they were last year, but they're not as good as the Astros. The Mets are at least minimum as good as they were last year. But we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball that's going to say this year, 2023 is going to work out the same as 2022. That without that streak of going on fire, without most of Judge's historic streak, the Yankees wouldn't have been where they were at that point. And there are other teams so far this winter that have gotten better. In my opinion, especially after signing Chris Bassett today, the Toronto Blue Jays have gotten better. And
two of us thought they were going to the World Series last year, though.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that was already good, has gotten better this offseason so far.
Yeah.
The Astros, you can make an argument that the Astros are definitely taking a big hit, losing Verlander to the Mets. That's a big. You don't just replace Justin Verlander.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is that the only way that the Yankees have gotten better this offseason is that the fact that if we do play the Astros in the playoffs, we're not going to face Verlander.
That doesn't make the Yankees better. And it
doesn't make it better. I'm being sarcastic.
I don't believe the Yankees are better right now. I believe the Yankees are actually maybe a little weaker because our bullpen is not solidified yet. And that's a big deal. That's, we don't know who's going to be the Yankee closer next year yet.
Right. Well, I mean, we know for one thing, it's not Chapman.
That's true. But here's the thing. If they're not – the one thing I do like about what the Mets have done moves-wise is, yes, they still have to get out of the National League. But who do they have to beat in the National League? They have to beat Atlanta. They have to beat the Phillies, obviously, in their own division. And then you're looking at the Padres, the Dodgers, the Giants, and maybe, and I don't know about the Giants anymore. Now that they're out of the Judge thing, you figure they're going to get somebody. They have that money. They had that money allocated for Judge. He didn't go there. So they're probably going to get better. They're probably going to improve. But again, there's only two other teams in that division you have to worry about if you feel like the Phillies are for real. And the Phillies definitely look like they're for real. They've improved their team, even though, the Mets did take Robertson away from them. If you really think about it, they took Verlander away from Houston. They took Senga away from the Yankees. So what they've done is they've taken players off of the teams that are most likely going to be there at the end. And that's the one thing, if you really look at Cohen's philosophy, which is a title within 3 to 5 years, those are the teams you have to weaken and improve your team in order to get to where he wants to go.
Oh, absolutely. And he is doing that. He is building right now a team in the short term. But to me, like I said, my biggest thing with the Mets so far, my one objection is the biggest problem with the Mets last year was their offense. And they've done nothing to improve that offense.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, I would agree with you. But again, 101.
They had to. That's the only offensive move a team, and they brought back Vogelback.
Yeah, 101 wins, and that's the team that's coming back that may be slightly better. Maybe they're a 102 win team this year. Maybe they don't get the breaks that they got last year. Maybe they're a 98 win team, But again, the only thing the Mets are really going to have to worry about is getting that top or second seed. That you want that first round off, because you're going to have to go through two teams in the NL, which is by far, in my opinion, still the better league is the National League. You don't want to have to go through three teams in that league. You only want to have to go through two. And that's why the regular season for the Mets is so huge. I think it's more important than the regular season is for the Yankees. The Yankees, I still don't see, maybe Toronto's better, but I mean, are you really worried about Toronto? I don't know. After last year, when they disappointed last year, I don't know. Yeah, you know what? You might have to worry about Seattle because Seattle's up and coming. But really, let's be honest. I haven't seen anything yet that makes me think anything different is going to happen in the American League this coming season that is going to stop the Astros versus Yankees in the ALCS again.
But one thing you got to remember, and a lot of people seem to be forgetting, is the new schedule balancing this year. So guess what? You're not the Mets aren't beating up on the Marlins and the Nationals, and the Yankees aren't beating up on the Orioles, and a bad Red Sox team probably again, all those games next year. Now you're going to be playing more games against like the Yankees are going to be playing the Dodgers, the Padres, the Cardinals. Excuse me. Teams like that. Yes, them too. They're going to be playing those teams, and the Mets are going to have to be playing the top teams in the AL a little more. So those 101 wins, the Yankees 98 wins, those could go down into the 90s real quick because they're going to be playing better regular season competition at times where, we're not going to be talking as much as beating up on the bottom feeders.
Now, what good did 14-5 against the Phillies get the Mets last year, though?
Exactly, but
nothing. The Phillies went to the World Series. So,
as we both know, the Phillies team that's going to take the field on opening day 2023 is better than the Phillies team the Mets won 14-5 against last year.
Yeah, but Bryce Harper's still not going to be available until probably the All-Star break. Probably can't play the outfield until late September. Maybe for the playoffs he'll be able to play the outfield, but he's not going to be available for a while. So I don't know how much better that team is on opening day. Maybe it's better throughout the season, but I don't know how much better that team is opening day come next year.
I know, and you know what? I give Steve Cohen credit. The man kept his word. The man goes out there. The man spends money. The one thing I'm still looking at is he spent over $400 million, close to $500 million, to basically replenish the team, not to improve the team, to replenish it. He went out and got Verlander, Quintana, and Sega to replace Bassett and DeGrom and Walker.
Right.
Edwin Diaz, if you guys remember, I said it from the beginning. Edwin Diaz was the Mets' most important free agent. They got it done first. They made the deal they had to make. Great deal. Nimmo, the Mets had to make that deal. Nimmo was most valuable to the Mets because the Mets don't have anything really unless they're going to trade one of their top prospects, which they don't want to do. They don't have anything else to make a trade with. So Nimmo was that much more valuable to the Mets because there was the center field market after Nimmo was Kevin Kiermaier was next. Like that was your next free agent center fielder. So you got to remember, like the Mets had to make that move. I never saw it going up to $162 million, but that's where it went. But now, from what I'm seeing, if you're going into the season, I mean, hey, we got 2 months before spring training. I know there's time, but right now, what you're seeing from the Mets is they are putting a ton of faith in Beatty and Alvarez to come through next year.
Sure. Hey, I have a question. I have a question for you real quick. Do you guys think, and Brian and I kind of spoke about this a little bit yesterday too, do you guys think you overpaid? Did the Mets overpay for Brandon Nimmo?
No. There was the deal they had to make because I guarantee there was something out there that could have gotten them there.
I spoke this with Brian yesterday a little bit too. I think 20 million and 250,000 a year for Brandon Nimmo is probably a little too high. I would have probably if I'm going according to his stats, I would say probably like 15 to 16 million.
That was the market. I mean, the second high Brandon Nimmo will be the second highest paid outfielder in this free agent market. He got $230 million less, $200 million less than Judge. I mean, there you go. It makes sense. That
supply and demand.
Exactly.
I mean, that's really what it was. It's supply and demand. Is Brandon Nimmo a $20 million outfielder? Probably not. But when you're the only other one that's out there that's really has some value other than Judge, you know what? Judge set the market at 360 for 9 for the best player in baseball, and Brandon Nimmo happened to be the second best outfielder available in free agency.
Yeah, exactly. And Bill, you know what, Bill? You're not going to love this contract in years 6, 7, and 8. You're not worried about years 6, 7, and 8 right now.
No. The mission statement was 3 to 5 years. I mean, that's what it was. That's where it is, and that's what they're trying to win now. Yeah,
exactly.
They have to win now.
You're not going to love it. And Bill, as far as bats out there, when I'm talking about the Mets, I'm talking free agency. I am not talking the trade market with the Mets right now. And I think a simple addition that could help the Mets and make the Mets lineup better than it was last year, that's not going to break the bank, JD Martinez.
That's what I said. I said that too.
But here's the thing: you're going to if you're the Mets and you're Showalter and you're Cohen and you're Epler and you're these guys, you have a full-time DH against right-handers. You do. That's the only reason Vogelback's on the team. He's not playing the field. Vogelback is your full-time DH against righties. That's what he is. Okay? And let's be honest, against lefties, it's probably going to be a platoon at the DH between Alvarez. You're going to put Alonso there quite a bit. You know, maybe Escobar and Beatty split sometime there at DH. I don't know how much sense JD Martinez makes as a strictly DH person.
But here's my thing. JD Martinez is not going to cost a ton of money. And I believe JD Martinez would like to win a championship, compete for a championship before he retires. I think you can easily promise JD Martinez 300 at-bats on that team. Look what the Mets... Right, look how the Mets used Vogelback last year from the minute they got them. The second a left-hander went on the mound, it was the 4th inning, he was out of there. You can get JD Martinez at bats. Alvarez is going to see time behind the plate. We all know probably more than we think because we all know McCann is good to miss 2 months at some point or another. So I honestly feel like he could see 300 at bats on that Met team. And again, he's not going to be the JD Martinez of 5, 6, 7 years ago.
He's not going to be AL MVP, JD Martinez.
Right, but what are you going to pay him? So he's not going to break the bank. What's the market for him right now? I mean,
I think you can give him 6 to 7 million.
I got to say, you could get JD Martinez for under 10 million plus incentives.
I think so.
I believe that.
I don't know how much of incentives that, unless those incentives are incredibly easy to hit. I don't know how much you're going to be able to get him on a thing where you're only going to give him 300 to 350 at bats for the season.
They don't care. They don't care about money. Make them incentives.
No, I know that.
Make them incentives that if he plays and if he hits, if he produces, they're easy to hit. That's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, I honestly, Bill, 1 year, $15 million. I think you're overpaying for JD Martinez there. I
don't think the market gets that, Bill. I get what you're saying, and if there was more of a path to 500 at bats, I'd agree with you. But what I'm saying is a 300 at bat path minimum, because again, injuries, we all know it. We've all looked at teams. I mean, we were just talking before we went on the air. The San Diego Padres have 5 shortstops on their roster. But, these things always have a way of crazily working themselves out.
It works itself out. Somebody gets hurt. Somebody gets,
Yeah, it happens. And I think a guy like that can help the Mets. A veteran, he doesn't need to. I don't think at this stage in the career, he's really worried about, no, I'd rather go somewhere. I'd rather go to Anaheim where I have no shot at making the playoffs and play every day than go to a contending team and have a chance to win one.
But here's my thing. If the Mets get somebody like JD Martinez, why is Vogelback even in the conversation? JD Martinez, in my opinion, is way better of a hitter.
They re-signed him. The price was right. I can't knock the Mets for the Vogelback.
No, I can't either.
It cost him nothing. And he's a good bat. He's a productive bat.
He's an on-base guy. He's a good on-base guy.
What I'm saying is the Mets Buck Showalter seems to have a dead set logic that a minute a left-hander is brought into the game, Vogelback's out. There is a path to at-bats there with JD Martinez.
See, but I think it's the other way around. I think if you sign somebody like JD Martinez, I think JD Martinez gets the start. He should get the start, in my opinion. I would rather JD Martinez be up at the plate than Vogelback any day.
And here's I get where Lou's coming from, because I mean, Billy, let's say the Mets do this and let's say they sign JD Martinez. Are you in a rush to take your right-hander out of the game to face Vogelback when you know if you bring in the lefty, you're facing JD Martinez? No. Probably not.
But
probably
honestly, the Mets honestly are paying Vogelback so little that I don't think they'd really care if JD Martinez came in, produced, and ended up taking the job full time, and Vogelback became the part timer. Yeah. I don't think anybody's shedding any tears over that.
No, and I think that would be the way. In my opinion, on paper, I would rather have JD Martinez just for the name alone in the lineup. That he is a bigger threat than potbelly Vogelback. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
I think it's a move that definitely can hurt. It does no harm anywhere on the team. And again, it's a better bat. It's an easy way to improve your lineup. I mean, Beatty, I don't know where Beatty's getting the bats from. I have to believe Escobar
Nico
gets the first shot at starting at third base next year.
I mean, Escobar was so bad left-handed, though, last year. I mean, how do you not put Beatty in against the righties? I think you're going to see a lot of different platoons.
I mean, you can see that as well. But what I'm saying, it's like the way he ended the season, his postseason, I got to believe Escobar gets first crack at being the opening.
Yeah, he carried them in September. I mean, he did. That's one thing Escobar did do. He finished strong this year.
I mean, but here, and this is the one thing that I'm actually glad that we're talking about this. Is the fact that, I think this is the year also that the Yankees and the Mets need to start the kids. We're in a position now, the Yankees last year made a lot of mistakes where you brought up these minor leaguers just to have them on the bench. And for instance, Peraza, right? What do you have? 20 at-bats with the freaking Yankees coming in? What is the point of having these kids come up just to watch the game? I can do the same thing as on fucking TV. I'm sorry to curse, but I can do the same thing on TV, right? These guys need to get into the game, and especially if the Yankees aren't going to sign anybody else, you need to have these kids just start and let them build up some character and let them play the freaking game. I am tired of the Yankees especially bringing up these minor leaguers for them to just sit on the bench and watch. It makes no sense to me.
You're right, but I agree with you, and I'm a big proponent of that. But Nico, I honestly feel like you're going a little too far with talking about having 3 of them in your starting lineup on this team. I think that might be a little bit too much, at least to start the season. It could get to that point, but I feel like Escobar absolutely deserves a chance to play in some capacity on this team. Alvarez should be your catcher. I believe that. To me, that's the answer right there. I mean, if this kid, you're already anointing him a full-time DH at this young age, I don't know what they're doing. They should have tried him as a first baseman then already.
Yeah,
I mean, you have a first baseman, and hopefully you have a first baseman for the next, 8 to 10 years in Alonso. Now, here's the thing. I mean, we look at, again, we're going back to, did they get better? Did these teams get better? Did the Yankees get better? Did the Mets get better? Here's the thing. It's unrealistic to expect Judge to come out and go 3-0, whatever, compete for a triple crown, hit 62 home runs, drive in 130 runs again. You know what? I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. They're not going to pitch to him. I'm sorry. I don't care if that's great. Lead him off. Whatever. They're not going to pitch to him this year. They're just not. There's nobody in that lineup right now that scares you. They're not going to pitch to him. He's going to get walked. He's going to be on base a lot, so maybe in that way he's a good leadoff hitter. But I mean, if you're going to bat him leadoff the whole year, where's he getting 130 RBIs? He's hitting 61, 62 home runs again. He's not going to do that. If he's a 40, 110 guy this year, how many less wins do you have now? If Rizzo had a decent home run year, maybe not such a great bat for average year, you're really relying on the kids that are coming up to be as good as advertised, if not better, for the Yankees to be better. I mean, I think are we all in agreement? Donaldson's pretty much done.
Donaldson is done, and I would love for the Yankees to figure out a way to include him in a trade with the prospect, whatever, to get rid of the last year of his contract. But I agree with you as far as Judge. To me, the one thing that I think, if I had to look at all Judge's season last year and say the one thing that I think is most likely to happen again, to me, it's the batting average. I think he can hit 300 again. I don't know about 62 homers and 130 RBIs because those are monster numbers. And he might, unless this Yankee lineup really steps it up, he's not going to see the pitches to hit 62 home runs. But so to me, the batting average might be the most likely of them all until I see something different from the rest of this team.
Unless they struggle to score runs and he starts pressing and he starts trying to do too much. He starts swinging at bad balls. He starts doing all that stuff if they're struggling to score runs.
Real quick, Nico, just to answer your question, could Conforto hit 30 home runs with the Yankees? Sure, but where is he going to play?
I would side Michael Conforto to play left field for the Yankees right now, no questions asked. Give me,
and then we'll go Bader, Judge, Conforto.
I'll sign up for that right now, no questions asked. As long as I know Conforto's healthy, I'll put him in left field. Absolutely.
I would be okay with that, but then you also have Cabrera that's been playing the outfield for us. You also have Giancarlo Stanton.
4 or 5 different positions and get 300 at bats. Yeah. If he's still on the team,
right? The Yanks got to get rid of Gleyber Torres. The Yanks got to get rid of Gleyber Torres.
That to me is the most likely of the moves. I agree. I'll be honest, out of the guys out there, I want to see the Yankees sign Rodon. I think that is a move the Yankees need to make. Talking about how to make this team better, Carlos Rodon is a move that makes the Yankees better. And that's what I need to see. I need to see this team get better. I think they should go into spring training with Peraza should be given every opportunity in spring training to be the shortstop.
I agree. Yeah, yeah.
And
no, I mean, they gotta get rid of Torres. They gotta get rid of Torres.
If you're ready to commit to Peraza,
powered that much on him already, huh?
Oh
no,
yeah, I'm done.
It's not even that much. Somebody has to go. That's the realistic. I mean,
wasn't too long ago where we were talking about, would you trade DeGrom for Torres straight up? Would you trade, DeGrom for Sanchez straight up?
He came back last year. He did. But somebody has to go in this equation. Nobody's trading for DJ LeMahieu right now.
And he's got one of the more reasonable contracts that you have.
Yeah, and we're stuck with DJ right now, but I think we could trade Torres easily. I think we could. I think people will see that there's potential in him. And just like when the Yankees got rid of Sanchez, they should have got rid of Sanchez 3 years ago. If they would have got rid of Sanchez we would have got more bang for a buck.
They did with Jabba Chamberlain, and they did with numerous guys before that. They're in the prospect. They're right now. They're doing it with Florial as well. Like, if you're not going to give this guy a chance of playing, all you're going to do, they did it with Clint Frazier. Let the guy play or let the guy go. It's one or the other. But, guys, I want to talk about the story of the day. The rumors came out this morning. The Yankees are, quote unquote, kicking the tires on a trade with the Padres for Fernando Tatis Jr. What do you guys think about this?
I defer to the Yankee fans first.
I mean, it was not that long ago that we all said Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to be the face of baseball. And in one season, he's killed his look between PEDs and motorcycle accidents. Would I do it? Absolutely. But with that being said, someone's got to just keep this kid under control. I
am all in on this move.
I'm all in on it.
And the reason I'm all in on this move, and I'm not saying this as a stuck-up Yankee fan, but this is realistic. The Yankee organization and the Yankee clubhouse will not tolerate the crap that went on in 2022 in San Diego. Guys like Aaron Judge, Stanton, Cole, these guys are not going to tolerate this kid doing what he did there. I mean, you look at the San Diego Padres clubhouse last year. Do you really think Tatis was listening to Manny Machado? Let's be serious now.
Right.
Who else was there? Hosmer? Hosmer wasn't a leader in that clubhouse. He didn't even want to be there because they tried to trade him to the Mets in the offseason before that. So he didn't even want to be in that clubhouse. These guys, there was nobody there, no veteran presence holding down that clubhouse and holding people accountable in that clubhouse. And I think that would go a long way into straightening him out. Now, I mean, I got to be honest, if you trade for Tatis, for the short term, he's probably going to be playing shortstop because I got to believe there's no way you're making that trade without trading Peraza, or maybe they like Volpe better and maybe you keep Peraza. I don't know. But one of the two of them is a lock to be in that trade. Clark Schmidt's probably a lock to be in that trade. And there's going to be the one thing the Yankees have to do to me in that trade to get that trade to work is you have to get the Padres to take Aaron Hicks back.
Yeah, okay.
Well, they got to take money, Brian. They have to take money somewhere. It can't just be prospects take nothing, and I'm going to save you $340 million. It's okay. We'll take on the $340 for 14 years of Tatis, and you take on the 4 years, $40 million of Aaron Hicks.
Right. I mean, Pete, you were saying that would be an absolute nightmare if the Yankees did that. I don't. Excuse me. I don't think that would be a nightmare. I think if the Yankees keep this kid in check, I think we have arguably one of the best shortstops that you could also put into the outfield when he gets older in the league. There's no doubt about it. He's one of the best hitters. He was literally the face of baseball before this whole thing happened. The whole scandal happened. But he's also only 23 years old. Let's remember that. He's a kid.
There's no issue with the contract either. You got to remember something. The contract's 14 years. The contract hasn't even kicked in yet.
Yeah, it's a long contract.
The contract ends when he's 35 years old. So right before the decline and everything else, he will get he's gone. Right when you're worried about age 36, 37, 38, 39, he's gone.
Yeah. Right.
And if we're really talking about, are you really worried about, not for nothing, I'll be 62 when that contract ends. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm not worried about the end of his contract. I'm worried about being alive.
I know, exactly. Nico, $7 million this year and $7 million
his contract's looking like.
Right.
Here's my take.
Yeah, I'll only be in my 40s.
First, first things first. What are you giving up for him? You know, you guys said you want to give them Hicks. I mean, that's a negative. You're giving them a negative. So what else now do you have to give them to get them?
I mean, it's got to be one of Peraza and Volpe.
I think it's both. Go ahead.
It's got to be probably Clark Schmidt.
Okay.
I would say. And
I think if you have to give them Hicks to make the money right, you got to give them both Peraza and Volpe. That's my opinion. Okay. If you're not going to give them Hicks, I think one of the two plus Schmidt is probably enough.
I think one of the two it might.
Probably a couple other, lesser prospects or whatever.
Right, we got to remember this too. They don't need them.
No, they don't need the prospects you're talking about, though. If you're talking about that, they don't need those.
They don't need two more. What are they going to do?
Right. No,
a team of shortstops.
You're giving them the job. You're giving Tatis the job. I mean, for 14 years. I mean, you don't need.
No, but I'm talking about the Padres. You got to remember, Xander Bogaerts for 11 years. They are definitely going to do what they can if Machado opts out after the season to bring him back. Kim is signed for another 3 or 4 years, I think. They're not going to move either one of them to first base. What are they going to do with these guys?
Trade them. You trade them.
Yeah.
I think they're more.
There's probably going to have to be another team involved somewhere in there in order to get this done between the Yankees and the Padres.
I think Florial probably would be involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are more.
I think there's another team. I think honestly, I really think there's probably got to be another team involved.
I think they're more likely to look at pitchers and outfielders in the minor league system than they are our infield prospects.
Which is why I think you need another team involved. I mean, that's because the Yankees are not. The Yankees are not strong. I don't think in outfield prospects.
Chet, if you would make that trade,
pitching, they're okay.
I'll get you hired as the San Diego GM tomorrow. If that's all I have to give up right now to get Tatis, I will get you hired tomorrow. I'll go on Glassdoor or wherever I have to write you a review.
If you can get Tatis and get rid of Hicks in the same deal, I don't care what you're giving up. That's a score.
No, Chet wants to trade us to trade Stanton, Volpe, Schmidt, and DJ LeMahieu.
But Chet, you want to know why that's silly, Chet? You're literally trying to get out of a $340 million contract just to inherit a $260 million contract with Stanton. So you're good. And right now, you're paying Stanton more this year than you were Fernando Tatis. Tatis only getting $7 million this year. Stanton's getting 25. So you're trading to get worse.
Remember, Stanton has the full no trade clause.
Right.
So
is he going to San Diego?
He rejected before he became a Yankee.
No, Stanton's not going anywhere. That's what I'm saying. Is that Stanton's not going anywhere. DJ's not going anywhere. If you're going to get rid of anybody right now, you could trade Torres. You want to trade somebody? Get rid of Torres. Send him to San Diego. So get him to San Diego for Fernando Tatis.
He would be ideal if they had somewhere to put him. That's the problem.
But again, I mean, we're talking about guys that you're looking to get rid of in order to bring back. I mean, when he's healthy and he's right, he's a top 5 player in baseball. Yes,
absolutely.
I mean, can we agree with that?
Yeah.
So
of course,
you got to give a lot of value.
There's going to
be a lot of value you got to give.
But I just wonder what it is because San Diego's needs are not from the Yankees' strengths. I'd really say.
Right. That's why, like I said, I think there has to be a third team involved in order for that to get done. That's why I think, they say they're kicking the tires, they're this, they're that. I think it's just, I think it's just.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I also heard a lot of.
Possible.
We also heard over the weekend people were saying that the Yankees were in on Correa. So. And I mean, I think if the Yankees are in on Correa, they're in on Correa to play third base.
I would hope so. I would rather Correa go to. Listen, if the Yankees could get Correa and let's say Tatis somehow, I'm not going to complain about that. But Correa's got to go.
No, they're not. I don't think they'd go after both. I mean that's just insane thinking.
Is it though?
Yes.
And here's the other thing. By the way, and I just realized I just remembered what we were talking about here. Here's the other thing that I will say. You guys are talking about, these guys won't allow Tatis to do what he did. Not for nothing, but your most vocal voice in that locker room last year was Josh Donaldson. You don't think he's going to let that stuff fly? He was really the only guy that had any kind of voice, unless you're going to tell me now that Judge is signed, he's going to take a bigger role.
I mean,
now that he's signed, he's going to take a bigger leadership role. Otherwise, I mean, we're talking about the loudest voice in that locker room was Josh Donaldson, who's not the greatest role model of anybody.
But if you listen to anything Aaron Boone said after this season, according to Boone, Judge was his manager in the clubhouse. Judge was his guy. Like, he would come out and Judge would be like, I got it. You know, we'll handle it. Like, apparently it might not be vocal and it might not be out in front of the media and everything, but apparently, yeah, Judge has been doing those things. And Judge has been helping steer the ship on this team.
He better be, especially now. Like, especially they're planning on making Judge the captain of the team. He better be.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and like I said, I mean, maybe he's more the Jeter type. Maybe he's more quiet. Maybe he's more that kind of guy. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, he couldn't keep his nose clean in San Diego, which is not exactly the biggest market in the world. How do you think he's going to be able to do in one of the biggest markets with the scrutiny, with the press all over him? You know, God forbid he goes, you know, you make that trade and he comes out and he's going, you know, 1 for 25 to start his thing. And they booed Judge last year after the season he had. You don't think they're going to boo Tatis after, you know, a week or two of bad play, you know, and how is he going to respond to that? San Diego, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in San Diego.
I also look at the history here. I mean, what real trouble can we remember seeing in the New York Yankee clubhouse aside from Alex Rodriguez?
That's a pretty big one.
No, but
it's a pretty big one.
I mean, one guy in probably since Torrey took since Buck managed the team. We've had that's really been the biggest issue since Buck managed the team in 94 and 95 was Alex Rodriguez, one guy. So the Yankees do have on their side the track record of handling their business in the clubhouse behind closed doors. So I gotta have faith in them that if they bring this guy in, they believe they can handle it.
You know, Bill, I would do that. I would do Hicks and Donaldson for Patrick Corbin. I think it's listen, Corbin had a horrible year last year, though. I mean, he had like 15 losses.
Not a terrible
right, but he also had a 7 ERA. So
I mean, I'm not against anything that gets the two of them off the roster. The only thing that worries me about Corbin is the home run ball.
Yeah, but a lefty in Yankee Stadium should be a little bit better than, you know.
A lefty,
in theory. In
theory, correct.
In theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be against that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Bronx with steroid Walmart. Where was anything ever proven with that, sir? Before we start, wasn't Darryl Strawberry in the 80s bringing out women down into the clubhouse and having sex with them in the middle of playing baseball? And you're talking about
Hernandez doing lines and
right, exactly right. So,
exactly.
So don't be talking about the Yankees, brother.
Listen, it's a different world now. You know that. I know that. Yeah. You know, stuff like that obviously doesn't fly anymore. You can't do it. So I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic. I would love to see it happen because I think the Yankees would be. I mean, the Yankees were already, in my opinion, at least 1 out of every 9 at bats on their offense were must-see TV. You know, I think you put Tatis in the middle of that lineup too. You know, now all of a sudden,
Todd Hundley.
Now all of a sudden you go, you know, Judge, Rizzo, Tatis. Now Rizzo has some protection in the lineup as well. I mean, you're looking at, you know, now all of a sudden Judge is getting even more pitches to hit because right after you got Rizzo, now you got Tatis. Who are you going to pitch around? You know, you get that much more protection for him in the line. Now you can actually, instead of hitting him first, probably hit him second, which is where you want him to be. You'll put LeMahieu, who's an on-base guy, an average guy, back up in the leadoff spot. And now your top 4 is as good as any top 4 in baseball.
Right.
Absolutely. And I mean, the biggest thing there too is if the Yankees can hold on to either Volpe or Peraza in this deal, within probably, I'd say 2 years, I think Tatis moves to third base for one of them.
Yeah, I think this is a thing though where you're going to have to, like I said, get a third team involved that might have the outfielders that, you know, the prospect outfielders or the ready to MLB ready, you know, young prospects, young players that can go to San Diego for them to get rid of Tatis. And then, you know, if you're the Yankees, you replenish the other team with Volpe, with Florial, with Schmidt, with, you know, Peraza, with whoever else, you know, you're going to have to move to get him, you know, and maybe that third team, you know, actually takes Hicks' contract.
No, and I agree with you. And Nico actually has an excellent point. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. What do you think would be a better move for the Yankees? Trading for Tatis, where, like we said, you're going to have to give up a lot to do it. You're getting one of the best young players in the game. No question about it. But it's going to cost you a lot. Or signing Carlos Correa, where it only costs you money.
Fernando Tatis.
I think it's Correa because you just, until Tatis shows that he can grow up, he hasn't grown up. Obviously, sure. I mean, with the motorcycle, and there's far more ways to get in trouble in New York than there are in San Diego. So, I mean, I think it's Correa right now. You want to talk about this coming year, this coming season? I think for the Yankees, the move is Correa if you can get him with the money. You know, I think down the road it might be Tatis, but. Right now, I think it's Correa for the Yankees for the 2023 season.
And for the tiebreaker, I'm going to agree with Brian. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be happy if the Yankees pulled off a Fernando Tatis trade.
Absolutely, you should be.
But if I have to look at this, I agree with Brian for many of the same reasons he said, but also the Yankees stood still on a lot because of their belief in Volpe and Peraza. I want to see these kids play. I want to finally see the Yankees bring up some guys that are homegrown players and watch them play. I want to see the Yankees be able to spend money in one place and save money somewhere else, like every other team, like the Braves do better than anybody in the world, and everybody else goes out there and does. I want to see it finally happen here. And these are the guys, you know, Brian Cashman put a lot of eggs in his basket with these two. I want to see it happen. And I also want to see it happen in a couple of years with Jason Dominguez, who I have to believe is going to be an ask in that Tatis trade.
Right. Yeah. I the reason why I say Tatis over everything is just because, I mean, listen, he's so cheap. He's so cheap. What everybody else is getting, that's the same caliber type of player as he is, and that contract is just, it's so good. And I mean, having an all-star quality shortstop.
I understand your point, but you got to remember the price tag of what you're giving up has to factor into what you're paying him too. You have to think of it all as one. It's not just about, oh, we're not paying him all that much. It's what you're giving up. And that, I'll answer Pete's question right now. Get Brian Reynolds. I happen to like Brian Reynolds. You saw me a couple of weeks ago saying get him in left field in Yankee Stadium. I'd love it. Apparently the Pirates want a king's ransom for Brian Reynolds. That I'm not willing to do because I don't think that needs to be done. I would rather give money to Benintendi or Conforto than pay a king's ransom to trade for Brian Reynolds.
Yeah. True. I agree. And yeah, and Nico, and that's another reason why too I'm kind of like leaning toward, if I had to pick one, it would be Tatis, just because like I understand we're trying to build up the farm system, but we should also find out like exactly what they want, right? Like I think that also plays a huge factor, because if we are giving up our whole farm system for Tatis, I mean, the Yankees haven't won anything since 2009, right? So I mean, that's a legit reasoning to maybe we need to start playing the farm system and having these kids play, and that was my point earlier. It's Fernando Tatis. Like it's so hard to pass up. I don't know.
You got to do
top 5 player. I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the risk and the reward are there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So let me ask you guys a question now. Now that we've kind of talked about the Yankees and the Mets, what is the next thing that the Mets and the Yankees both have to sign right now?
For the Yankees, it's Rondon. I think Rodon. I'm sorry. I think that's got to be the move. I think you need to solidify the staff, then get to working on your bullpen and Correa and one. I think Rodon is a very important piece of what they need going forward. We just talked about, you want to get better to compete with the Astros. You want to improve an area where you definitely lacked in the playoffs. You need that 1-2 punch. And him and Cole together, I like our chances. Our chances are a lot better. And you're looking at, I know everybody's down on him after last year when he came here and, was he fully healthy and everything else? That would put us in position in our rotation where Frankie Montas is our number 5 starter. And if Frankie Montas reaches half his potential of what he was in Oakland, he's good. He's one of the best number 5 starters in baseball.
Right. No, I agree. And then our starting lineup would be what? Cole, Rendon,
It should be Cole, Rodon,
Nesta,
probably Sevy to break up the 2 lefties. Sevy, Nesta,
and then Frankie Montas.
I am good with that. I got to see more things done in the bullpen. I got to see the bull. I love one thing I do love that the Yankees did in their bullpen. I love Tommy Canley coming back. Good Yankee, pitched well for us. Good team guy I love to see. Right. I mean, right now I gotta believe if the season started tomorrow, I think the Yankees are looking at a competition between Clay Holmes and Michael King to be the closer.
I mean, assuming honestly, Michael King had a great year before he got hurt last year. And I think, listen, Holmes is kind of Clay Holmes.
And Holmes, not for nothing. And Holmes had a great year until they officially made him the closer.
Yep.
And then
right.
He really didn't perform all that well down the stretch. Right. So, I think the Yankees are okay with their staff as a whole. Even if they don't get Rodon, I think they're okay with their staff as a whole.
Right.
But otherwise, I mean, are their top 5 better than what they were last year? Are they?
I mean, starting Rodon, I do believe that makes them a better staff than ended the 2022 season.
Let me ask you: are the Mets better this year right now? That's a really, really good question. You want to talk about top 5? Now, here's the thing: we had said you had said first, what did you want? Do you think they're done? Do you think the Yankees are done? What do the Yankees need? My thing is this: I think the Mets are done until July. I think they're done. I think they're going to go into this season with the lineup and with everything that they have right now. I don't think you're going to see anything major. I think Senga was the last portion of what was going to be a major move for Epler and the Mets. I think everything else now is going to play out during the season as to whether or not they make a big trade, they make a big move, they do anything like that come, mid-July, end of July after the All-Star break kind of thing. If you look at their top 5, knowing that top five starters, are they better? We don't know what Senga is yet, but Verlander's the reigning Cy Young. You still got Scherzer, who had a solid season. Yeah. You've got Quintana, who had a sub-3 ERA last year, and you got Carrasco still as your number 5. So if Senga is the equivalent of Bassett, they're better, aren't they? Quintana's better than Walker. If Senga can be Bassett, Carrasco's the same, Scherzer's the same, and Verlander and DeGrom, I think Verlander's better. Isn't
Verlander's better?
I mean,
Verlander's already had the second Tommy John, and he's learned how to pitch now. Whereas DeGrom, even though I'm not going to say he hasn't learned how to pitch, but he's still relying on 102. And you saw at the end of last season when that 101 and 102 is straight like it was, he'll get teed off on. He'll get hit. He got hit at the end of last season because that 101, 100, 101, 102 didn't have a whole lot of movement. So, Verlander's kind of learned to pitch a little bit more. He doesn't need to rear back and throw the 100, 101 because he was getting guys out last year to a sub-2 ERA and was, for the most part, healthy for the entire season. Does he have question marks in the playoffs? Yeah. But, well, let's wait until the playoffs until we start to deal with that. First things first, win the division.
Right.
And is their offense better, worse, the same? I mean, it's probably going to be the same. Let's see what Beatty is. Let's see what Alvarez is. Let's see if Escobar has a full season like he did September rather than what he had April through August.
I mean, the one thing I got to say is you got to have faith in Verlander. He's done nothing to show you not to have faith in Verlander. I will say there has to be questions on Quintana. You're talking about a guy that had to settle for a $2 million contract from the Pittsburgh Pirates to start last season because nobody wanted him. Because he was. Do I believe he can be an upgrade? Yes. The potential is there. Do I like the signing? Yes, I do. I'm not crapping on it by any means. But am I going to sit here and guarantee he's going to be better than what you got out of Taijuan Walker? I'm not. I'm not going to say it because there is no track record before last season showing that it's there. And as far as Senga, I don't know yet. I don't know if I can say. I mean, there's nothing we've seen yet to guarantee he's going to be better than Chris Bassett. Can he be as good or better than Chris Bassett? Absolutely. I mean, from everything you hear, the potential's there. You have to see it. So nobody can tell me that the Mets starting rotation is unquestionably better than it was.
No, I just don't think it's worse
last year. It could be or it could not be. Right. I'm going to lean towards it's not worse, but I won't guarantee that. No, I won't. It's not a no-brainer. I don't look at that and go, no-brainer, it's a better rotation. I like what they did. I feel they made the moves they had to make, and they made them correctly. And I don't see any risk, really, in any of the signings they made because nothing is – I mean, the longest one was Senga for 5 years. Not terrible. That's what it took to sign him. Quintana's 2 years. Verlander's 2 years. They didn't take any huge risk there. No, so I'm good with what they did. I just don't know if it's definitely better.
I'm gonna disagree with both of you. I think the Mets did get better, and you want to know why the Mets got better? The fact that you don't even know if Jacob deGrom, when he was a Met, was how long is this guy actually going to pitch for us? Because the last 3 seasons he's been on and off the field for God knows how long. At least Verlander, you know that he's going to be pitching for you guys, unless obviously he gets injured. But when Justin Verlander doesn't have Tommy John surgery, he's playing. Okay. And right now, Justin Verlander is a better pitcher, in my opinion, than Jacob deGrom. Justin Verlander used to strike out 250 guys. He went from the Cy Young MVP striking out 250 guys to a Cy Young only striking out 170 guys. He learned to adjust. He's going to be 40 years old. He wants to get to his 300th win, these 300 wins, which he might be the last fucking pitcher in the world to ever get it.
To ever get there.
Right. So, in my opinion, the Mets
until they
got
change
better.
the rules, because eventually they will change the rules.
I mean, the
as
biggest
to what
thing,
a starter has to do to get a win.
The Mets need Scherzer and Verlander, 2 39-year-old guys, to stay healthy. That is first and foremost. And my bigger question now with the Mets, though, is who are the last 3 or 4 guys in the bullpen? You got Raleigh, you got Robertson, you got Diaz. What's the rest of the bullpen look like?
But
I mean, again, it's going to be Peterson. Right.
Lugo's going to go.
It's going to be Peterson as a long man. It's going to be Trevor Williams as a long man. It's going to be, it's going to be patchwork.
Trevor Williams a free agent? Is he even under contract?
It's going to be patchwork. It's going to be a lot of patchwork to get there, but I think you really have to depend on these guys going 6 innings, and then your 7th, 8th, and 9th are going to be. Here's the thing that I think you're going to see though from the Mets is, when they have the lead, I think it's going to be fine. I don't know how often you're going to see them come back in games where they get down early, because if the starter isn't going 6 innings, 5, 6 innings, and they don't have a lead, who's coming in? I mean, you can't bring in the same three guys every. Yeah. I mean, they won 101 games. You're not giving these guys 101 appearances.
I mean, and remember one thing. David Robinson's up there in age.
He's another 38, 39.
David Robinson's not throwing 80 innings for you. Okay? Right. Get that out of your head now. It's not happening. Like you need to have bullpen arms out there. Peterson will be somewhere where possibly in the bullpen.
He'll be there, swing sixth starter. I mean, Senga's got to get used to pitching once every 5 days instead of once a week. There's going to be some, a trial and error period there too, which again wouldn't bother me. We talked about this last year, Billy. It wouldn't bother me if they went to a 6-man rotation for a little.
No, I agree with that on a lot of teams. I heard already the Angels already committed to one. Ohtani's going to pitch every 6 days. They're going 6-man there.
Yeah, I mean times there are changing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now here's the other question for you guys: will we see Ohtani as a New York Met by July?
That's when I say the Mets are done for now. I think that could be the guy. I mean, and I think they could give up a lot for him. I think it could be an Alvarez in that kind of deal. I think it could be a Beatty, depending on how. And that's one of the other reasons I think why they have to play. The reason why these kids have to play, it's the same reason the Yankees. You got to be able to show that these kids can play and play at a high level at the major league, just so you can make these deals in July, so you can get the pieces that you need to make a run, to beat the Astros or to beat the Braves and the Dodgers and the Padres in these 5-game, 7-game series. Get that extra piece, get that extra bat, and get that, in Ohtani's case, get both. Get an arm and a. So
right, exactly, right. I know. Listen, listen, and this might no, you're still there. We're here. This might sound a little crazy, but if you guys did get Shohei Ohtani, right? Let's say the Mets did get Ohtani by July. Do you necessarily need to have Ohtani as a starter? Couldn't you put him in the bullpen if needed? Or is it?
I don't think he's a guy that works that way. I think he has to have a routine. He grew up in a much different time. You can't turn around, especially in the middle of a season, and change a guy like that's routine around. I just think it's a recipe for. I don't think he'd ever agree to it. I think it's a recipe for disaster. I don't see that as being a good move or a good thought whatsoever.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, with your starting 5, obviously Ohtani would get a start over one of those guys, but I'm just saying that it's
and I don't I don't know how that would really work.
Right.
So to speak.
Well, Brian died.
If that would be something they could even do. I don't know, but I don't think he would ever agree to that at all. And he's definitely not signing a contract anywhere to come back somewhere and go pitch in somebody's bullpen. Like that's just not realistic, because there's 31 other teams out there that would probably let him do whatever he wanted.
Right. All right. So this means Mets.
You tell me now.
Yeah.
We answered. Your turn. What's the one move you want to see the Yankees make before the season starts?
Billy, you're 100%. The Yankees need a starter. They need another starter right now. They have the minor leaguers to play. I want to see them play. The Yankees, if the Yankees are going to compete against any team in the playoffs, assuming that, obviously Yankees are going to the playoffs, right? On paper, they should anyway. We need that second starter, in my opinion, and that's Carlos Rendon. I think that's the right move, in my opinion. And I think the Mets need another bat. I think the move is Carlos Rendon for the Yankees, JD Martinez for the Mets.
I mean, I'd be real happy to see if the Yankees go Carlos Rodon and Correa. I'd be happy to see it.
I'll make a Carlos squared. I'll make a Carlos squared shirt right now. Carlos squared shirt. I'll be happy to take both Carlos Correa and listen. As much as I don't like Carlos Correa because of 2017, I can't deny the fact that he's a hell of a ball player.
Exactly. We all have our sayings. We all had our feelings about Correa. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't, but
that was some way for Brian to just say that was perfect.
He's done.
He's done.
But I can't pretend that I didn't have those feelings about never wanting to see Correa. But the fact is, it's business. We want to win. He presents an excellent opportunity. He is a hell of a ball player, which nobody can deny, no matter how you feel about him.
But I think the move right now for the Yankees is to sign. If I had to pick right now, Benintendi or Conforto, I want Benintendi, right? I want Benintendi over Conforto, and I want him to be that number one. I want.
I agree. I would agree with you as well. I would if I'm choosing which one of the two I'd want, it's Benintendi.
Right.
But I would not hesitate to take Conforto for the right price.
Yeah. Right. No, I agree. But if I had to pick
I
one,
have no issue with the Yankees being where Conforto signs his 1 year, let me prove myself again contract. None whatsoever. I'd be totally content with that being the contract.
Right.
He wants to sign here for 1 year, $12 million plus incentives, and make this prove it year. I'm good with it. I'm in for it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Billy, this does conclude our hour-long Power Hour show. We lost Brian in the middle of it. I'm going to definitely take a picture of that frozen picture of Brian and post it as my profile picture because it was too funny not to. But it's been a very interesting offseason so far, Billy, and a lot of different teams have made a lot of different moves. It's the one thing I will say that I'm kind of like, where do these teams get this money though, Billy? Billy, how is it that these teams are just offering and offering?
Crazy. I mean, you see the offers the Padres had out there between Trey Turner and then
Judge,
and then they finally got Bogarts to take it. The money that Philly paid Turner, which they're already paying Bryce Harper. I mean, it's just, the Angels want to actually try to keep Ohtani while they have Mike Trout. And you know what? It's a good time. Guys, you have sons, teach them how to be Major League Baseball players. Get them out there playing ball 12 months a year somehow. And just go for it because that the money's there. Clearly, they're making it. Baseball has rebounded from the pandemic. You could clearly see because the money's being spent, and I'm here for it all.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Listen, if I ever have kids, that kid is learning that the only thing in life is becoming a pro baseball player or a pro sports player, and that's it. That's it. And he's going to take care of daddy and mommy. And he's going to live out my dream of being a Major League Baseball player. So that's exactly what's going to happen. But all right, Billy, it is officially time. I guess we'll have a show soon, right? We'll have another show soon.
I don't know. I want to say have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. But if something big comes down the pipeline, which I hope it does, we will be back to talk about it. So we will see you guys soon. Everyone have a great evening. If we don't see you, have a great holiday season.
And happy birthday to Billy, too. Billy's birthday is on Christmas. So happy birthday to Billy.
Guys, have a great one. Enjoy, and we will see you guys soon.